Thank you for staying with us in back-to-back schedules in technology and maritime 2021 maritime industry's largest conference on technology. We are having a great time, many very great engaging sessions with all of you. Hundreds and thousands of people have clicked on our Facebook and YouTube links, and we are having a gala day with all the fantastic and amazing speakers that have been sharing their experiences and technical knowledge. We have two events of the Naval Connection calendar, which are flagship events. One is the Future Skills Maritime, which is again going to come on 2nd and 3rd of December this year. While that is more strategic and talking about the gaps between training and the future needs of technology, here in this event, it's a little bit different in Tim. Here we are actually talking with those experts who really make things happen instead of also strategizing, but they foresee the needs of the industry and they come out with solutions. One of the experts we have today is none other than Levent Şen, and he's the co-founder of Marinspector Turkey. He's coming to us right from Turkey, and welcome Levent Şen. Before I put you on the spotlight, I just want everybody else to, and all those people hearing us live, to know about your expertise and what immense value you bring into Team 2021. So tech team, can we have, and I like to call the tech team as Team Tech, so Team Tech, could we have the profile and introduction of Levent Şen, please?
Levent Şen, founder and managing director, Orka, UK. Levent Şen is the founder of two startups in the maritime industry. The first one is Orka, which creates virtual training simulations for the maritime industry and multi-award nominees in global VR awards. Orka commenced working with RightShipping, creating a training and assessment platform for accredited inspectors. This project's assessment part is cutting-edge technology. The candidates will carry out an inspection in one of Orka's virtual ship remotely. The second startup is Marinspector, which is a remote inspection and connection platform for the maritime industry. Marinspector has been selected as one of the top 5 startups of 2021. Marinspector has a unique and patent-pending video engine and created for the maritime industry needs. This technology will change all habits around visiting and inspecting ships and facilities. The Naval Connection proudly presents Mr. Levent Şen as a speaker at the Technology in Maritime TIM 2021 Global Virtual Conference.
Wow, Levent Şen, just in the introduction, I had 2 or 3 words which is so interesting I've never heard before. One of them was video engines. I'm going to ask you about those. Probably you will, I don't know, but probably you will mention those in your presentation. If you don't, I'm going to really come back to you and ask you about these very, very fascinating stuff called video engines. We've got lots of seafarers watching us live, and from the seafarers' perspective, this is a very, very interesting topic you've chosen to speak on: remote inspection of vessels and surveys. So Levent Şen, over to you for the next 20 minutes.
Okay, thanks again, and thanks for the opportunity to the Naval Connection. Okay, welcome everybody. I am Levent Şen, co-founder of the Marinspector, and today in my remote inspection and connectivity speech, I will share our experience related to the Marinspector case studies in detail. Marinspector is a remote inspection and connectivity platform, and which enables video call, robust connection issues, automated report generation, and easy evidence collection. And our today's agenda will start with the barriers in digitalization in maritime, the drivers from nice to have to, and figuring out the problems, finding solutions, statistics from Marinspector usages, and advantages, process, and the case studies. let's start with the barriers in the digitalization in maritime. We call the unfortunate COVID-19 as an accelerator because many industries and businesses have to make a giant digital leap after COVID-19 to maintain their business as usual. But usually the digital transformation, which causes fundamental changes, especially in traditional business practices, is received with some kind of barriers. And these barriers can be summarized as a lack of awareness. Sorry. Lack of awareness of how digital transformation may affect the business of the organizations. For example, when we first start the Marinspector as a trial versions, we received lots of email from the vetting companies, the pre-vetting companies. They were asking that will you carry out inspections by your own. They were always taught that we carry out inspections, but no, it was just a platform that meet the inspector and the vessel in the same time as the platform that we using now, like a Zoom. And the lack of the capabilities to change transition to another system requires planning and the resources. And resistance to change is one of the biggest barriers. And mostly this barrier comes from the senior ones. And they may believe that after that kind of innovation or the transformation, they will not be so important as before for the enterprise or for the company. And lack of technological knowledge and the digital skill is one of the top topic also as a barrier, because they mostly seniors again, they feel uncomfortable with using new devices and the technologies. They thought that they will not get familiar so easy, so they create a barrier for that. And high investment, implementation costs and risks, they always think that for the innovation it always costs highly, but no, it's not like that. It's not as high as they thought. For example, for that kind of remote connection, just less than $2 per day you can have it for your vessels, so it's nothing. Missing regulations, yeah, I think it should be discussed in another topic, but in innovation for all industries, not only in maritime, unfortunately, regulations comes after the innovation, and it affects a huge barrier, especially for the users that want to use that technology, and they are not able to use it because the regulations are not permitted to that kind of technological progress. And the lack of industry-specific solutions also another barrier, especially in the early adopters time. For example, in remote inspection specific, in the perspective of remote inspections, lots of people in the industries trying to use the video connection tools, video connection applications to connect with the vessels. But it's not working like that. It's not, because that applications are not designed for that purpose. They designed for the landscape web connectivity with a good web connection. They are not designed for maritime purposes. So that kind of non-industry specific solutions also created barriers for the digitalization in the maritime. And because of this kind of barriers, we need drivers to continue the innovation. And in 2020, it was time to change. Priorities in managing human resources have changed. Traditional workflows have been restructured, and digital transformation has accelerated. Precautions against the pandemic introduced many difficulties for the traditional processes, driving the need for more efficient digital processes. So digital technologies for remote inspections, remote surveys, or remote connections like the Marinspector between vessel and ashore are not nice to have anymore. Some of the drivers for transitions are cost reduction. As we all know, ship inspections require travel, mostly internationally, and to meet with the ship at a port, and accommodation expenses and etc. They are highly costly, and after COVID, they are much more higher than usual. And time saving. Travel requirements and schedule changes increase the time costs of a traditional survey or a meeting with a ship in general for any purpose. Transparency. Digital information is much easier to store, manage, and share. And reducing the emissions also another driver, because any reduction in processes time and cost translates to a smaller environmental footprint. Once you have the driver, it means you also have a problem. Especially in today's topic, there was a huge problem on handling ship inspections and the surveys, especially in the COVID time. And each problem has a solution. But for the solution, you have to define the problem correctly. And I will talk about it later. And we created the Marinspector as a solution and improved it with the industry. We have been working on Marinspector for more than a couple of years now and had thought that we already knew all the answers and most of the use cases we are familiar, but we are glad to have learned otherwise. Once we created Marinspector, we thought that it would be used for external inspections. But once we commenced an early adopter program, we received comments and case studies from the ships and the facilities. We developed the platform with the industries, different disciplines like the ship management companies, classification society surveyors, the flex test surveyors, vetting companies, and etc. And to be honest, I believe that one of the biggest advantage for us was the fact that we were involved with the seafarers. I'm not telling this because I'm also one of them. I'm telling this because I worked with them. They have an ability to solve problems even in a very limited environment. Mostly, they have to solve problems within a very short time period and improve their abilities to use tools with different purposes. Adoption of our remote inspection and connectivity platform revealed a lot of other use cases in maritime industry in a very, very short time period. Let's talk with the numbers. Nowadays, more than 1,700 connections completed with the Marinspector since April 2021. And as you've seen on the chart, only 25% of them is external inspections, like navigation audit, pre-vetting, some manufacturing inspections, etc. Other rest, normally they are internal inspections, but we divide the internal inspections like remote technical advice and observations and trainings. And specifically for internal inspections, it's the 48%, and for we name it like superintendent visits, self-inspections by the ship's own crew, and for the remote technical advice, it's the 18%. They give emergency response and technical advices, and for observation and training is 9%. They attending risk assessment meeting, accident investigations, observing the junior surveyors by the seniors. So these were some use cases. And we started to test the system in 2020 and officially published the first version in April. And these numbers are the numbers after April 2021. One of the main starting cases was that of vetting or inspection company. In this case, the system is used to conduct a survey as intended. Another use case was a more internal one in which a ship management company inspected their ships for various reasons. The advantages of the system, as you've seen in the presentation, but other than these, well, no papers to begin with. I'm not talking about just the survey papers or questionnaires. I mean, no passport, no tickets, no hotel reservations. So some of you may think that traveling is one of the best perks of the job, but after a couple of trips, especially the considered places, I think you might think otherwise. Anyway, it's a fact that more than half of the cost of the survey is due to logistics like travel and accommodations. So with Marinspector, we are making cost saving more than 60% in some cases. Cut that expense and the time loss, and you will save some trees. Take into account the hassle of scheduling and arrangements, and I believe we save a lot of time. Digitalization of the process facilitates user cases other than the most obvious inspection cases. Ship managers and insurance companies alike find a lot of opportunities to exploit a remote person system to their benefit. Normally, without Marinspector, the process, as we all familiar, you have to book inspection, make the arrangements, and conduct inspection. After conducting inspection, you need to send reporting for the review, and it takes sometimes days and weeks. But with the process, the Marinspector for external inspection, you can do it in 1 or 2 days. For internal inspection, you only just need the minutes. That's all. Now, our process, let me explain what we do with the Marinspector. Marinspector has three different components. One of is the desktop application that inspectors and the observers can use it to join the vessel. The other application is the mobile application. In the ship, we named it Ship Agent, and they connect via Marinspector mobile application. It can be a mobile phone or tablet, and now some of our customers are using the smart glasses like RealView, and they combine every data in the cloud. It can be in Marinspector's own cloud or the customer services. And now we already commenced giving API for the enterprises. So in their ERP systems, they are able to use Marinspector as a tool now. So they handle everything in their own cloud, and they carry out all their inspections or remote connections with their own. So they can protect all their data in their own service. And we facilitate the survey or meeting, let's say through the web-based portal, or can arrange a meeting between the inspector or an observer and the ships. In our system, we don't have only inspector and the vessel, we also have the observers, and they are unlimited users. So when someone is carrying out an inspection, lots of people can attend that inspection as an observer. And a questionnaire can be created, edited, chosen from that meeting. So you can actually fill your questionnaire during the inspection, and it automatically synchronizes with the cloud. And this takes a very short amount of time, especially compared to the traditional methods. As a side benefit, digitalized data presents opportunity for analytics and predictive maintenance. For example, integration with ERP and similar system is not so hard either. Once the meeting is arranged, parties involved can join this meeting through their devices. This is basically a video conference, except that only the person on board the vessel is streaming their camera feed. This is done through a mobile device on the vessel side. Other participants, in particular the inspector, uses a desktop system to view the video. And there are a couple of tools that inspector can use to direct the person on board and control the remote camera. And I think you are seeing on the reference pictures that kind of using cases. And we have developed a patent-pending custom video conference system for this to work in locations with bad internet connectivity and low bandwidth, like the vessels, for example, in pump room, in engine room, so there's a continuous connectivity with that application. The inspector can initiate a photo shoot, annotate, and save resulting pictures, and they write their own remark at that time to the relevant topic. The whole session is saved as well, so they can send it for review. After this, at the same time, he or she can bring up a questionnaire panel to fill the answers in real time during video conference. After the session, the questionnaire will be available on the web portal to edit further. When it is finalized, it can be exported in a desired format. So with Marinspector, that application becomes your remote eyes and remote hands on deck. Let's continue with the case studies. Now, today I want to give one case study from Orka Shipping. They are one of our early adopters, and they invested in implementing ship-wide web connectivity for all of their fleet after they had some experience with Marinspector. And they had a problem on the windlass, and normal ship engineer took some pictures, create a report, and email to the technical superintendent. And after that, they replied, and they had a continuous emailing about the problem for more than hours. And they were just in the beginning of the early adopter programs, and one of the inspectors said that, why don't we use Marinspector? And they directly connected to the chief engineer with Marinspector, and in 15 minutes, they understood the problem, and they found a solution for that. And with that kind of case studies, they invested and they implement the ship-wide web connectivity. Even if in the both thruster room, you are able to run Marinspector and connect to the vessel. And with that kind of case studies, they improve operational safety, they improved the response time and the cost savings. Other case study is today is the Türk-Loydu. They are the classification society, and they invested in hands-free glasses other than the Marinspector mobile application. Because they have junior inspectors and seniors were not able to last of the time to them for their training purposes, but with the remote hands-free glasses, they are able to see what the junior surveyor sees and to train and to assess them, they are using the Marinspector. And with that, they improve their training time, the response time, and the cost savings again. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you, Levent Şen. Thank you so much. Yes. Levent Şen, I would want to spend the next 5 minutes just asking you some questions. There's some platform questions which have come in. And something you mentioned something about the 5 best, you were nominated as the 5 best startups.
Yeah.
Is this a country-wise kind of an award, or how does this work in Turkey? Right?
No, it's a global nomination, and we were not aware of that. And one of my friends called me for to say congratulations and said why, and they said you didn't see that you have been nominated. And we nominated by the startups inside. They monitor the startups for some kind of investment purposes, and they create a kind of report for that. So we were very happy and honored when we see our company in that list, in the top 5 main startups globally.
Okay, that's right. I will ask you one more question, which is coming from the platform by the name of Anirban Bhadra. Mr. Anirban wants to ask you, is the usage of these normal smartphones on deck for only tankers carrying dangerous cargo allowed for this Marinspector? Because normally only intrinsically safe cameras are only allowed on deck and cargo areas. Very interesting question. Anirban, thanks for asking this. I will put it across to Levent Şen.
Yeah, thanks for the question. And we know we are very familiar with that questions, and that customers, they receive an X-proof cases for their mobile phones, or they already purchased initially safe phones, mobile phones. So in their operating system, they are also able to download the software, and they can use it even if in the tankers. But mostly there's a solution for that.
That's a very good. That's a very good thing. Actually, yes, I've sailed in tankers for 17 years. I know we could never carry, and rightly so, mobiles and even cameras, and everything has to be intrinsically safe. Yeah. One more question that comes into my mind, and I was just briefly discussing this before we came live, Levent Şen, is that this is the era of remote. Everything is becoming remote. Even vessel operations we're talking about vessel operations also becoming remote. So
this is not only.
Yeah.
So this is not only for maritime industry, also for the other industries. Now,
absolutely.
If you monitor the reports for the investment for the VCs and the private equities, they are all making investment for that kind of technologies.
Yes.
So not only in maritime, but in the maritime there was a kind of a restriction, because we are a very conservative industry. Lots of things are very traditional, it. And so there was a resistance. And for example, in one case, we had that one of the captain emailed us and he said that I am a captain of the vessel. And if you join me like that, don't you believe me? So, that there was a question like that in the beginning of the Marinspector trials. And we said that this is not a kind of observation of the vessel. This is a kind of support tool. And you need to look differently to that application, but we received that kind of restrictions and the feedbacks also from the mariners, but not so many. Regulated.